And Batman 89 issue number 5 is written by Sam Hamm, with art by Joe Quinones, colors by Leon Ardado, and letters by Clayton Cowles. And this issue begins with Harvey Dent having beaten and tied a criminal to a chair, convincing him to join up with his plan to steal $31 million, of which the man agrees due to a promise of a bigger cut. The man even says he knows people to recruit, of which we cut to thugs in Joker makeup meeting up with Two-Face in his lair. We then shift focus to Barbara, who, after a long day of work, heads home where her dad, Commissioner Jim Gordon, asks her questions about Harvey, which leads to an argument between the two, and Jim even stating that he has plans to resign. We then catch up with Batman, who's teaching Drake to drive that Batmobile as their speeding catches the attention of the police. However, it isn't long before the officer's attention is diverted elsewhere, piquing Batman and Drake's curiosity. We discover the reason for this was an explosion that had occurred and caused some of the tunnels in the Gotham subway to collapse, which immediately was followed up by a shootout. This, of course, is all a distraction as Two-Face and his crew blast their way up into the evidence room of the police station, of which Jim sees Dent's thugs running up the stairs. Jim rushes to the roof to turn on the bat signal, which the dynamic duo see, and the two then split off with Drake on the bat cycle. Batman arrives at the police station in time to take out the henchmen, while Drake was sent to take out the snipers from the shootout. In the evidence room, Harvey Bullock is shot by Two-Face, of which Batman and Jim then enter. Two-Face quickly uses Batman's electronic batarang to hit the Dark Knight, causing Batman to miss with a dart he shot and knock out Jim instead. Two-Face then takes Jim hostage, leaving Batman to rush Harvey outside to get medical attention, but the police think Batman was behind the attack. Drake then shows up to help Batman escape, when we then get a page of people from Harvey Dent's neighborhood finding money that will help them out, before we cut to Two-Face's lair, where Jim talks with Harvey about just killing him, because he has to. However, this was all just a ploy so Jim could plant the dart on Harvey, allowing him to be tracked. We then return to Barbara, who is meeting up with Harvey, and while at first it seems like she's on his side, Barbara quickly pulls her gun in cuffs to arrest him. However, Batman knows that if she does arrest Harvey, that they'll never find Jim, so Drake asks what the plan is. Suddenly, Barbara is pounced on by Catwoman, allowing Harvey to run, as Catwoman tells Drake to follow Harvey, indicating this was part of Batman's plan. Batman, however, is already hot on Dent's tail, but is just far enough behind for Two-Face to get back to his lair where, in a fit of rage, he shoots Jim Gordon right before Batman enters. And it's better than the previous issues, kinda? I mean, the action is definitely finally starting to ramp up as we're heading into that final confrontation between Two-Face and Batman. And to start with, some things I like about the issue, I do like Harvey's motivation in it. He wants to get that $31 million so he can disperse it to his community that are experiencing economically hard times. Because I do suspect this is an attempt to not make Two-Face a straight out villain, just more so a guy who's trying to help his community by using any means necessary. Though of course, he crosses lines that Batman otherwise wouldn't. I mean, sure, yes, this is the Burtonverse version of Batman who, killed the Joker's goons, killed the Joker, torched a guy with his Batmobile, and put a bomb on Penguin's strongman and, let him explode. But hey, at least they were bad guys. Though Harvey Bullock in this comic isn't exactly the shining example of an upstanding police officer. But hey, Jim is innocent, and Harvey's plans do put, the public in danger. So, still the bad guy. Another thing that I really liked about this issue was, more characterization on Jim Gordon. Whereas, yes, he is a bit of a departure from the Burtonverse version of the character. Whereas here we come to understand that he's a guy that's a bit more hopeless and maybe even kind of fashions himself a hypocrite to a degree for, allowing, vigilante justice in his city. And seemingly welcomes the idea of death, especially if that means that Barbara will never forgive Harvey. I just wish we knew that Barbara actually loved her dad so that, the sacrifice would matter. Because all we've really seen with Barbara is, she definitely loves Harvey. She's made mention in some previous issues that she has a strained relationship with her dad and they don't really see eye to eye. In fact, Here, one issue from the finale is the first time these two are actually on panel together. Because I guess the intention is that Barbara is supposed to be caught in between, her love for Harvey, respect for her father, in which we could see her kind of sway in either direction of, assisting one or the other before she ultimately decides that, okay, yeah, we need to bring Harvey in. Because I did like that initial interaction between Jim and Barbara inside of her apartment, and again, I just wish we had gotten more scenes like this. Maybe ones where she's like potentially sitting down with her dad over a meal or something, and they're just talking and being a father and a daughter. Something to let us know that she at least loves her dad. Because now if she's suddenly up in arms about, oh my gosh, my dad's been shot, I don't think I'm gonna buy that 100%. Which then becomes my biggest criticism over this issue, in that we are effectively just now getting certain character developments that we honestly should have been getting from the jump. And not just things like Harvey somehow putting together an entire crew to pull off this, Italian job heist, all in what seems like the span of, few hours, but more so the relationships between the characters, which do have sprinkles of intrigue. I just wish we'd spent more time exploring them. Like, we do have Harvey and Jim Gordon, who seem to not particularly like each other, and I just wish we had gotten to see, more interaction between these two characters to establish that. And I think overall, maybe would have given some extra weight to when Harvey does decide to shoot Jim, because deep down, maybe he always wanted to. And as much as I like the banter between Batman and Drake, I'm still not entirely convinced of their partnership. Because just one issue ago, Bruce was attacking Drake because he thought that this kid was gonna splash some acid on him. And with Drake himself, we spent so much time building up like who he is. The book seemed to kind of forget to sort of, develop that relationship itself between Bruce and Drake. So that by the time we get to issue number 5, where they're in the Batmobile together, there's more of a feeling of camaraderie, in a more organic sense, that is. Whereas here, it does come off a little forced. Especially the fact that they're also seemingly working together, like, really well. And they kind of come off as a pair that's been doing this for a while. Not to mention Drake seemed to have, a full handle on being able to drive the Batmobile, being able to drive the Batcycle, being able to use, the grapple gun, all fairly efficiently and with very little training, it seems. And on top of that, over the course of this series so far, for a supposedly seasoned Batman who's been doing this, since 1989, and we gotta be at least in 1995 by now, there's just some aspects about him that make him come off a little amateurish. Like, I can buy maybe Drake getting the jump on Bruce from behind in that, first issue. Whereas here, I'm like, wait, you don't have a kill switch for your own tech? Because, Batman hadn't even programmed the Batmobile to literally stop at his command. All he has to do is just say, stop. So when Harvey threw the Batarang, I'm sitting there thinking back, okay, we're still in the 89 verse, and I'm sure Batman has some kind of kill switch, but instead he gets hit with the Batarang, and it's right as Batman is trying to shoot a dart out of this gauntlet, and he ends up hitting Jim, and it feels very Three Stooges like. And there's even the moment when he brings Harvey out, and the cops, they have their guns fixed on him, and he's sort of like, hands up, my hands are up, don't shoot kind of thing. And I'm like, you're the Batman. Escaping from cops is like second nature by now. And also with the cops thinking Batman is guilty of a crime, it's like, didn't we already kind of explore this in Batman Returns? And then Catwoman, what is she doing here? In terms of development or plot advancement, she hasn't really done anything of notoriety here. I mean, she was in a few previous issues and then kind of disappeared for a bit, and then it's like now she's jumping onto the scene like she's an assist character in Marvel vs. Capcom. I mean, Batman was already in the park, effectively he could have been the one to tie up Barbara or something to keep her from arresting Harvey. The art, I think, continues to be this book's greatest strength overall, and even though I do think that, Bruce Wayne outside the costume looks a little weird, inside the bat suit, he looks great. And there are several great shots in this book. Particularly, I like the scene where Batman takes Jim Gordon off top of the GCPD and just, jumps off, and Jim's kind of got this, this is my age, I'm too old for this kind of stuff. It was a fairly funny scene, and it did get a chuckle out of me. I also thought the redesign of the Robin suit looked really cool. And, for things I didn't like, I have covered those, within the other, Batman 89 videos. So I do recommend you go check those out if you want more of an idea, from those previous issues. So what we have here is a book that does have some good ideas and, fairly solid artwork, but unfortunately is a little bit late in the game to giving us character interactions and development that I think we should have been seeing from earlier on in the story. And with that, I'm going to give Batman 89 issue number 5 a 5 out of 10. So Batman 89 issue number 5, what did you think about this book if you've read it? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. And if you like this video, I'd love it if you'd smash that like button, share it with some friends, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and ring that notification bell for more comic book content. And if you're wondering what to watch next, consider one of these 2 videos. Alright, take care, have a great day, and as always, stay geeky.